Hello walkers and welcome to Thermopolis, Wyoming. It is, I didn't even look that up, it's about 10:30 in the morning and it's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is in Celsius, but we're going to start out here at the corner of 120 and 20. These are the route numbers. If you go that way to the west, you're going to get to Cody. If you go down to the south, you'll end up into this awesome canyon, which I think is the Bighorn River, because I think Bighorn River comes through here. If you go this way, you'll get to the Big Spring in Big Spring or Hot Springs State Park, which we're going to do a walk later. And if you go this way, we're going to explore downtown this morning. Let me give you a little greeting. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker, your virtual travel guide today. As you can see, we're doing a 360 tour as well. That usually goes for about half an hour and then the camera kicks off. So there may be a gap and then sometimes it'll start back up, sometimes it won't. So we will see. That's just part of the fun here on City Walks. This is, as I said, downtown Thermopolis. It's about 3,000 people here, elevation of 4,000 feet, 4,300 I think. And it's a cool old western downtown. I like these lights downtown here. These western towns have really wide streets because, from what I understand, they needed to be able to turn wagons around with 4 to 6 horse teams. And that takes a little bit of room. I love these old storefronts and that sort of thing. And we are, like we normally do, just going to wander around and explore, because I've never done much more than drive through Thermopolis. Always wanted to stop, and last time we were through here I thought, I'll come back and do a city walk. Give us a like, a thumbs up, please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and above all, leave us your comments. This statue is the history of Thermopolis is tied to the soil. We have a lot of brands here for various ranches and communities in the area. That's kind of a very Western thing, Western US thing, sorry. Get another look at the downtown. There's another downtown street that we're going to explore as well as we make our way. I mentioned the Hot Springs State Park. We will explore that later. Oh, look at this door. It's got this neat metalwork moon. Very pretty creative thing they've done here. I like that. It is quite warm. I mentioned it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit-ish. It's been quite warm out west, very much a drought here in the west, and we don't even have it the worst closer to the mountains out east. Eastern parts of these states gets very hot, and then of course on the other side of the mountains, eastern Oregon, eastern Wyoming, eastern Washington. Wow, it gets super hot over there, super dry, lots of fires. We have had quite a bit of smoke in the area from those fires, and luckily today it's not so bad. We've got a nice little park over here by the bank. 29 degrees Celsius says the bank, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, so I was a little off. Of course, you've got the American flag and the Wyoming flag. It's not fluttering for some reason in the breeze. It's at half mast. I'm not sure why these are set to half mast today. Could be a firefighter or something. They've had several fires in the area, not this area, but in the Beartooth, a little bit to the north. Here's the Independent Record, the local newspaper. I kind of want to read one of these. The local newspapers have such great stories sometimes. It's a good way to find out about a place. And if they are one in the paper in Livingston tends to have a lot of national stories, which I don't really understand other than it's cheaper to run. You know, most people get their news, they have easy, free access to national news. So I'm not sure why you wouldn't just focus on the local. Honestly, if they focus more on the local, I think I would subscribe. But that's probably expensive. I'm getting some rubbing on my microphone here. Try to minimize that. Coming up on 4th Street. And we'll just wend our way. I'm gonna go up here to the railroad tracks just to see what's on the other side. It is the Bighorn River. And I think we'll see it from up here next to the railroad tracks. And then we'll turn around, head back to downtown. This isn't a big town. I mentioned it's 3,000 people. So geographically, it's not huge. But it is interesting. Another thing they have here, in addition to hot springs, in 1993, they discovered some dinosaurs nearby, and now there's a dinosaur interpretive center, I think, museum, and they have a fossilized Archaeopteryx, which is pretty unusual. I think it's one of 2 or 3 in the world. And it, of course, is a proto-bird, feathered dinosaur, flying dinosaur. I don't know if it's actually a dinosaur because I think my sons would correct me, but there's a difference between pterosaurs, dinosaurs, and maybe theropods. I don't know. They're all dinosaurs to me. That's fairly dismissive of science, and I don't mean to do that. I'm a big fan of science. I love science. It's fun, interesting. But I don't always know the details. Speaking of science, I just read an awesome book by Andy Weir. This is totally not a city walk type thing, but I thought I'd share it anyway, called Project Hail Mary. Andy Weir wrote The Martian, which you may have seen the movie with Matt Damon, which was great, but the book was fantastic. And this was also fantastic. It's his 3rd book, I think. It was a lot of science, but not details, not like working through equations, but explaining how science is useful. It's kind of fun. So there's a bridge down there, and looks like a direction to the Dinosaur Museum, but we're not going to go that way. We are going to go just down these tracks. That way is the big spring or the giant spring, and the Panya around here, and that way is the south. So we've got a little depot here. I don't believe they have passenger service here, but they used to. This is 3rd Street. I have my earbuds. I just had my earbuds in the wrong ears, and it sounded like I was getting stereo sound when my little recorder doesn't record stereo sound. If you continue down this road, I said you get to Cody, you go through the old town of Meeteetse, which is a cool little name, but it's a tiny little town. It's literally a blink and you miss it type of place. but it's a pretty little collection of houses, and I think there might be a motel or a bar or a restaurant there. But it's a pretty drive. That sound, that squeaking sound, is I'm wearing sandals, and my feet are a little sweaty, gross, but they're squeaking on the sandals sometimes. I mentioned the 360 camera, for those of you not watching the 360 version of this. And I started another separate channel called City Walks 360. There should be a link in the description below. And if you like the 360 version, go check that out. I do have some other stuff on there as well, or I will be. I've got one thing and I'll be posting more 360 type content. We floated Yankee Jim Canyon last weekend, and I filmed the rapids section with the 360 camera, which was a lot of fun, and you can go check that out. It's like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and but it's fun to go through Yankee Jim Canyon on the Yellowstone River. And then I've got some other 360 walk versions, a couple that I posted onto this channel a long time ago and have just put over there as sort of additional content for anybody that just discovers that channel. All right. This is, I guess, a city building. But like I said, we're headed back downtown here, and we'll go cut over where we have some older buildings, and then make a left. And then I'm not sure where we're going to go after that, but we will continue to walk. This won't be a very long walk. I've done a couple hour-plus walks recently, and those are fun, but that's not going to be happening today. We just don't have the what do you call that? Yeah, the geography to do that, the space. Real estate. We don't have the real estate to do that. But I am shooting for 45 minutes or so. This is Town Hall. Modern building, modern version. Nice and shady. I want to give another shout out to our Patreon supporters. I have not been as good about updating and doing some posts, early posts over there, or Patreon specific posts, but I'm going to get back to that. Maybe I'll post this or the next one early. Also on Friday, I think, which will be the day following, well, maybe. Anyway, I won't talk about that because I'm not sure when I'm going to post this, in what order. Nice little cafe over there, and cross over. You can see the red hills up there, red rocks. It's a Black Bear Cafe. Herring's taxidermy. If you don't know what taxidermy is, it's stuffing animals, so putting up mounted animals, typically ones that have been hunted, sort of trophies. Although also museums use it a lot. Natural history museums. Look at this cool old building here. Neat stone. It's been around a while. It's a law firm now. Looks like an old hotel or something. Hi there. Hi there. Some collectibles. Round Top General Store. There are several, because of the hot springs, there are several hotels Here you can see the old post office, also current post office. Several restaurants, bars, that sort of thing. We'll show you some over by the Hot Springs State Park a little later. Several real estate companies we're seeing. Well, this street isn't nearly as interesting as it looked as I whizzed by earlier. I think I saw this building and thought, hey, that looks cool. This looks like, what do you call those? The Masons. The Masonic Temple. Oh, but we do have a fire. We'll go over here and check out this old burnt out bar. Who doesn't like that? Am I right? Well, that's too bad. Hopefully nobody was hurt. Oh, you can smell it too, the city burnt out smell of a domestic fire. Chemicals. Ugh. Coming back to Highway 20 here. And we're going to make a right and head north. Maybe we'll get back into these neighborhoods a little later. We'll see. Maybe not. Well, maybe we'll go down. That's a good segue. Across a 4-lane highway. We'll just go see how people live in Thermopolis. You can see a motel sign up there. And the Thermopolis Cafe. This is Arapaho Street, and they call the local in-town name for Route 20 or Highway 20 is 6th Street. Here's a funeral home. More. Okay, that's an interesting name for a funeral home. No disrespect intended. Look at this place, that wraparound porch. Pretty flowers. Ooh. I'm glad we came back this way because I'm going to take us over here real quick. Maybe not that quick. It looks like they have a museum over here and I want to see what it is. Quiet little town once you get off the highway. It's very nice. You can see how dry it is here. Really hard to grow grass. Looks like my yard at home we just gave up this year. It's really not ideal place for grass. Here we go, down here. I'll tell you what it is a good place for is these sunshades. People think of Montana and Wyoming as being cold, and they really can be very, very cold. But man, in the summer, that sun is harsh, I guess would be the word for it. Some old industrial equipment. Look at that big piece of wood cross beam. A recreation of a bow and arrow and a rifle. Across the way is the museum annex. Hot Springs County Historical Museum, and that is the county here. It's a county seat, I believe. It's funny, the memories that, I'm not going to go in here for obvious reasons. It's interesting, the memories that get triggered, I guess. It's a weird word these days, but seeing that cannon, the military stuff reminded me of the fort. Well, there was a army base or museum or something right near a fort. I can't remember the name of it, like Fort Peters or something like that, in Petersburg, St. Petersburg, sorry, Russia. We were there a couple years ago. I did a couple walks, did 3 walks, and somehow, oh, sorry guys, forgot you were there. I'm talking to my 360 folks. Anyway, accidentally deleted one of the great ones over on Nevsky Avenue, but Nevsky Prospect. There's some old artifacts here. Make it a good street, make it wide enough to turn this deep team of mules around in. Henry 16 Mule Team Johnson, that's awesome. That's what I'm going to start calling myself, 16 Mule Team Harrison. I guess your enunciation would be 16 Mule Team. And I was thinking, you get behind the wheel. I got up at 5 a.m. this morning to get down here before it got too hot, because I'm also going to be filming in Cody, Wyoming. Do 4 walks, all told, hopefully. Which means I'm super caffeinated at this point. But I was thinking of other walks I could do, sort of shake it up, because I'm going to do this Friday, or maybe last Friday, depending on when this thing gets posted. We'll just call it this Friday, which would be tomorrow, your time. I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to attempt to do a live stream from the Livingston Art Walk, where I go and I talk to a couple different gallery owners or artists and explore Livingston during the art walk. But I was thinking, what else could I do in Livingston? And my dad, I tried to do a live stream of the Roundup Parade. We're on 7th Street, coming up on Arapaho here. It didn't work because there wasn't enough bandwidth. But I thought, I know this woman who is local. She grew up in Livingston. There's all the history and all the little details. And I was wondering, but you have to walk around to get there, and I don't want to spend 4 hours doing that. And I thought, well, maybe my dad would take us around with his mule team. That'd be fun. He's got a carriage that we could ride around in. So leave me a comment below if you think that would be a good idea. He would drive, Lindy would talk and tell us all the different things, and I would try to rein them in from being too much. But I thought that would be good. So let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching via YouTube, we do have supposedly we have a Roku channel. The development process has been quite slow with that. There are videos there, but they don't get updated. So I think the most recent one was, I want to say, November of last year. They got updated a little bit. So check out Roku channel if you haven't already. All right, coming up on 8th Street, and you get the idea of what this little town is like, these wide streets. Oh, a nice little church over here. Love these shade trees along the way. We're gonna come up here and make a right and go down by the county fairgrounds and the high school, etc. Gosh. 360 folks, you got about 5 minutes before it's gonna be 4 or 5 minutes before it blips again. Usually that means it cuts out for about 30 seconds and then restarts. However, if it gets hot, I think it shuts down. It won't restart. A quirky little thing. We're on 8th, by the way. Nice old lilac trees, thick. They're looking droopy like mine at home. That wind is, we got a little breeze. Normally that would be refreshing, but today it's just a warm air. Not unlike a hair dryer on low. A lot of churches in this town. There's the Living Waters Assembly of God. Coming up on Bighorn. And let me take a look down here. This might be where we're taking a right. No. One more block, folks. I apologize for the heavy breathing. I had a comment on the Pine Creek walk, which I totally empathize, and it was going through my head. It goes through my head anytime I'm walking up a hill, and huffing and puffing a little bit about how the audio might be a little annoying. But as I said to that commenter, I apologize, I am aware of it. I'm not really sure how to solve that problem. So if any of you guys have a suggestion on how I could do that, let me know. Because I would like to solve it. It's like the first video I ever did was in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I had the sniffles a little bit, and I kept sniffling, but worse than that. And I got a lot of comments about that. Not a lot, quite a few. All completely justified, I get it. And I wasn't even aware of it at the time, so I'm glad they said something. So, as I usually say at the beginning, but I love your comments, I love your memories, I love your sharing your experiences and your thoughts. I also appreciate criticism, constructive criticism, let's call it suggestions, on things that could be improved. I'm not perfect, and in some stuff it's either not possible to improve or maybe too expensive or too complicated to fix, and I'm just not going to do that because it doesn't make sense. But a lot of stuff are simple, like the sniffling, right? That's easy enough to fix. And the quick pans, I can sort of try to remember to not do that as much. Slow stuff down and to show people both directions on the streets when we cross or when we're waiting at an intersection. That's easy enough to do. Look at this garden. That's lovely, isn't it? But